Hello viewers. Well, over the years I've tested a wealth of different steering wheels on different formats over that time, and Fanatec are a company who have always gone for quality wheels over the years, gone for that sort of high-end technology, from playing Formula 1 2010 years ago to the launch of Forza Motorsport 4 with their commercial partnerships and their technological developments. Of course, here we see their latest wheel which has come to the market, the CSL Elite, the latest version of the CSL Elite. I used the old CSL Elite years ago, and you'll have seen me testing that, I believe, on WRC3 back in 2012. And of course it's been a few years. Fanatec have been catering more for the high end, but here we're looking at the unboxing of the Fanatec CSL Elite base. Pretty much the same base as the premium version, but with a plastic casing. And you see here just rushing through the unboxing as we take a look at it there. So solid design. The obviously the main structure internally is still super strong. The casing itself has nice detail to it, giving that sort of feel of luxury. And, we've also got the shifter lights on board as well. So really nice looking, tidy package. And you can see there options for your handbrake and gear stick, and as well as the pedals and everything else. Really nice wheel, base, and solid tech as well for that. Of course, you can see all the parts from the box, cables, instructions. You can bolt it to your table as ever, but you can also drill holes. Well, this is one of the issues I'm going to come to actually on it then. So you go through the instructions, find out how it all works. As you do, should always read the instructions. You've always got to update your firmware, make sure that's everything up to date there. You can see the different shifters, the hub adapter, which we'll look at later in the video, and of course we've got the CSL P1 rim here as well, and this enables you to use this on the PC and the Xbox, which is great for those of you who also own a console, and for Xbox owners who just want to play on the Xbox. It gives them the opportunity of a premium market wheel here as well. So there's always a knot on the bag. The Fanatec stuff comes really nicely packaged in these nice little bags. Kind of reminds me of the sort of Ferrari thing as well, with the Ferrari package. Ferrari always have these little bags and packaging and covers for their cars. You can see the wheel there as well. Nice solid, thick rubber around the edge. It's a nice weighty wheel. Nice design and look. Again, very polished. I was just having a feel of the gear changes, which are nice. The travel works well given the size of the rim, quite large, and with nice detail on it all round. This has doesn't have a quick release. It sort of has a semi quick release in the terms of it's just one bolt you put in. So you slide it on, and then you turn it around upside down, and you put the bolt on, and then it's secure. Then we have the pedals, the new CSL pedals. Now, I wasn't a fan of the old pedals years ago, and I was interested to see. I spoke to Thomas at Fanatec, and I said, the pedals were very flat, and that was something I never liked about the old Fanatec pedals, because I said, most cars don't have flat pedals, or at least none I've driven. So here we see then the solid metal there, but I've cut the audio from that here. But I can promise you now, this is heavy duty kit, and I wasn't getting it all out this stage. But the pedals can be positioned where you like, very comfortable. But I've also got the Loadcell adapter, which we'll look at in just a moment, and there you can see the pedals in there packaged, and they get bolted. So follow your instructions, bolt all that together. It's relatively straightforward. Most of the parts are there. I think all the parts are there for that. There's the Loadcell. So the Loadcell, if you don't know, is it's like a progressive braking, if you like you have in a real car. You have that sort of spongy braking feel, and that enables you to alter your type of braking. So in a normal road car, you just gently rest your foot on the pedal and then brake a bit harder if you want to have an emergency stop. In a race car, you're pressing very hard, and then you're gradually loosening as you come to the corner and not wanting to lock your wheels. So there you can see it. The Loadcell I'm going to talk a bit about as we're racing, and I'm experiencing that and the difference it brings to gameplay. Get that out of the box there. Nice and tightly packaged. Again, everything's nicely packaged. As I get the bag off, and all the parts in there you needed to bolt it to the main stand. So I thought, well, let's get the brake out, and then after that I go away and build those pedals and get it set up on my rig. Just feeling the sort of spongy element to it there, how much pressure. It takes quite a bit of pressure, and you can increase the amount of pressure as well. Some of these race cars require a lot of pressure. So then you connect it to the rig. Now, connecting it to the rig was not straightforward. My RC RS1 did not have the right holes, and there was no drilling template packaged in the box like there used to be. They used to put sort of a cardboard or a card drilling template in, which was very handy. That wasn't in there. I went online, and the online drilling template was initially set up for A3 printers, which wasn't practical. So I had to produce a workaround. Didn't have the right tools for metal work, don't even have protective goggles. It was a bit naughty trying to drill it at the angle I was, and unfortunately only 2 of the 3 fixing screws will now fit into the rig. But there you go, that's what happens when you have to do metal drilling. A lot of sim racers are probably expert metal drilling, that's fine, but it's one important thing to note there when getting these wheels. You might need to be prepared for a bit of metal work. The next thing that you're seeing in the video here of the Assetto Corsa is the first part of the video. I turned into the corner, my steering wasn't sensitive enough, and the force feedback was way too strong. So basically, in making this video, I've done miles and miles and miles of testing, trying to get the wheel set up on different games, trying the onboard settings, all the different onboard settings, of which there are a lot of different features which you can tune there. Obviously, you've your sensitivity, force feedback, shock, ABS, vibration, you've got linearity, dead zone, drift mode, brake linearity. For me, the main things that I was setting up first are steering rotation and of course your force feedback. And you know, you can't just do that within a few corners. Obviously, there are some initial things when you drive and you're like, wow, that's understeering a bit, or I'm not feeling that, or I'm not feeling the brake, or you know, getting your settings just right. It means doing lots and lots and lots of laps. And that's what I started off doing, and we're better to do it than some of the different simulations you'll see me just tinkering, trying something out, that didn't work, and moving on. So lots of time has been spent really trying to tune the wheel and trying to get it working on different games. At the moment, I'm finding it quite challenging when it comes to inconsistency on getting the wheel working at its optimum. I'm finding that if you tune the wheel to the maximum, you will get the maximum out of it, but it does take time. So you can see here now, running on the PC version of Project Cars, you can see the LEDs working on the wheel. I'm ignoring them at this stage, but you can see the LEDs. I also have a little one in the top middle of the wheel as well, which is nice. Doesn't put me off. Looks pretty good. The wheel certainly is in setting up the wheel. For example, at the time of making this video, I couldn't get the wheel working on Race and Racing Experience, and unfortunately I don't have iRacing to test it on at the moment, but I'm sure it works fine on iRacing. But yeah, Race and Racing Experience, I just couldn't get the wheel set up at this time. Some of the games don't use the LEDs on the wheel, in which there's a piece of software called, I think it's Fanatec LEDs, something like that. I'll find the information and put it all on the website for you guys to install that information to get the LEDs working on more games. Here with things like Dirt Rally and with the racing games, I was just trying to find different types of rotation and trying to understand the braking. Some of these videos are going to be full videos on the channel, and you can see here the pedals. You'll notice you can take the rubber off, and I've taken it off the accelerator, but the pedals are very high, the actual pads or blocks if you like, the pedals, and generally I like to have my foot slightly higher on the pedal, the ball of my foot essentially over the pedal like that. That's where I like to have my foot on the pedal normally. I can't with these pedals because they're quite high, so you're pressing with your toes more. But you can see when you press the pedal, your foot slides over the pedal. That's why I've removed the rubber. I found from doing a race, it would grip too much on my shoes, or it would ruck up my socks, and so it's nice to have that smoothness. But you need that grip on the brake, and that works really well. So that's kind of how I've changed my setup. At first I wasn't comfortable with this. I found it a bit of a strain on the ankles just with a slightly higher pedals, but I did find I got used to it over time and found it more and more comfortable. But I have to admit, getting to grips with the brake has been more challenging, finding a balance that suits you and finding a balance that suits the amount of pressure that you're used to. I guess in a way it's like force feedback. You know, some people like a lot of force feedback, some people not so much. I'm somebody who doesn't need lots of force feedback. I just need a certain amount to feel where the car is, but I don't need it necessarily fighting me all the way around the circuit. So that's a look at the pedals there, and as you can see, really nice structural design. You can slide them across, move them closer to one side or the other, whatever your preference in terms of how it's set up. And of course the clutch pedal, that was the brake when you originally get it, and there's a piece of sponge that you take out and swap it over so it works more of a clutch in that way. So the different types of driving I was just showing there, from whether you're using a road car, in which case you'll be right foot braking, of course, or using a Formula 1 car, something like that, when you'll be left foot braking. After that, of course, it was also about testing it on the console. So then I did, races on Forza Motorsport here, which is one of the key titles. Obviously it's Forza branded, and it's an ideal place to test it. I go on to Forza Motorsport in the Xbox One. I'm still amazed at the quality of the visuals that Turn 10 Studios managed to generate from this hardware at this frame rate. Absolutely incredible. And I think that, bearing in mind that all of this hardware should be working fine on the Xbox Scorpio next year, which is 4 to 5 times the power, it should look absolutely mind-blowing, and no doubt they'll get an amazing game running at least this good in 4K as well. So I tasted different tracks. I eventually I tested different cars as well, and some of these videos will be available in full on the channel, so you'll actually see me talking about where I was and what I was looking at in terms of testing and stuff like that. Obviously here you can see some screen lag between the wheel, but that's part of the game rather than anything else. And so other than that, trying to get used to it. Here in this particular video I was struggling a little bit with the braking. I was finding the braking a little bit soft for me, not really getting the sensitivity from the braking that I needed in this particular car, and so it takes a while to understand where the car is and where the brake is and what you need to do and how you alternate the style of braking. I was finding now that with this new type of brake, I was needing to brake much harder than I would have with say a more sensitive brake I use on the T500. It varies from car to car, doesn't it? You need to try different cars, different speeds, different games, trying to get some feedback. And so back to Project Cars. Why? Project Cars is actually the game that works the best with the wheel I've found so far. It's the only game that actually recognises the wheel, and it's the game that really works the best of it on both console and PC at the moment. When I was playing Dirt Rally, I had to set up a profile from scratch. It didn't recognise the wheel at all, so you had to just set every single button up, and at first it wasn't saving it. Gradually, for some reason, it did. So I don't know what's happening there, whether the firmware update took a while to take hold, but again, these videos will be up in full on the channel in the coming weeks, and you'll be seeing more of the wheel in action. Of course, testing again, another different car. This video is slightly out of sync, but you can see how it works, and of course that'll be up on the channel as well, synced up. So the bass at the moment, the feedback on the bass, the force feedback for me was excellent. The pedals take some getting used to, but they are good when you get used to them, and you can work in a way that suits you in terms of moving the pedals. But there's also these products as well, the Fanatec Formula Rim, which has been around for a few years. I've not had one before, though I had an early version of a different one that was released for the old Elite wheel. This one has the material, and quite frankly it's a better rim all round. It is an amazing Formula rim. It feels fantastic in your hands. I've used it plenty of times over the years, and was really pleased to get hold of this. This is a obviously it's got the quick release system. You can see the gear shifters. I actually swap them round because I like them to be higher on the back than that, so they're quite low when you get them, but I take them off, swap them over to the other side, and then they're much higher, and you can tilt them as well to an angle that suits you. So fantastic. And again, as it's working, you see with the LEDs straight away on the wheel, back on Project Cars Racing, triple screens on the PC, and wow, doesn't it feel amazing when you're using a Formula rim like that on a Formula car. You just feel so much a part of the action, racing in there. I'm really enjoying this. Again, this race will be up on the channel, just a bit of me enjoying some fun racing around on this circuit. And the funny thing about the wheel was, apart from the sensitivity being slightly lower than I was comfortable with on this run, which meant I was struggling through the first chicane, in general I was forgetting about the wheel entirely, and that's a good sign, because you're just intuitively enjoying the driving and just taking it all in. So I'm coming up there, the Ascari racing round. Really enjoying myself in using this rim. And the wheelbase, you know, we talk about it being plastic, you know, it's irrelevant basically. You know, once it works, you feel it, and then you're off from there. Now the Club Sport, the hub adapter here, universal hub adapter, this is a really cool piece of tech, and in many respects it's a game changer that I think is in a way almost underrepresented. It's really not been talked about enough, just how amazing it is that you can bolt your own steering wheels to this rig and use it on the PC and Xbox, or eventually your Xbox Scorpio. Quite tight in the box there. Just pulling it out gradually. What a cool piece of kit, and this is something that I'm still working on now. Still got a lot to do in terms of just, you know, maximizing it in terms of the full review and everything that's going onto the website. But you know, first impressions are fantastic. I've been doing a whole bunch of races with this, screwed on the rim, and absolutely fantastic. So you can see the button placement, they can all be moved depending on the type of rim that you're using. The quick release system is there, which again, very handy. Makes me wonder why the P1 rim didn't have a quick release. You know, maybe just to save money, but it just seemed like a missed opportunity. It seemed you know, inconsistent with, say, the rest of the strategy in terms of producing. And of course we've got the Fanatec Forza Motorsport steering wheel rim here as well. Basically it's a real racing car steering wheel, you know, so that's what it is. And you bolt this to your system, so there it is. Very nice. What a nice piece of kit as well. Feels really good. It's much larger, of course, than a lot of the standard video game wheels that we're used to. It is big. It does take some getting used to. It does help on my rig when I can increase the field of view. But a quick look there. Just wanted to show you the stitching, the detail, how it bolts on. Relatively simplistic, but well made. And of course it's nicely stitched along the bottom there. Very nice. I'm sure Turn 10 Studios were very pleased with this. Of course, I used this briefly when testing Forza Motorsport 6 about 18 months ago, so many of you will have seen this already. But I was straight on to testing it, so you're testing it on the PC. Now again here, testing on Assetto Corsa, I didn't have the game at all set up well for me on the PC. I'm having a few issues with Assetto Corsa, but I'll come back to that in another video. Either way though, you can see for yourself the immersion that it brings. I mean, you've got a real car steering wheel and you're driving around, and you may as well be there for the feeling that it gives you. So fantastic, you know. And if you want hard force feedback, it felt pretty strong to me, I can tell you that, when Assetto Corsa was at 100% strength. It was a real muscly fight to get the wheel round. I can't say that the fan does come on, obviously. I can't say that it was necessarily intrusive to me in any way. I wear headphones a lot when I'm racing anyway, so I wouldn't even know if the fan was on. But when I did hear it, it wasn't that loud, and it seemed to take a fair amount of punishment before actually you know, coming on. Racing around there, and again I've got some braking issues I still want to sort out, and I needed a bit more sensitivity on the wheel, but that's something I was tuning at this point. Back onto Project Cars on Xbox One, and again using a steering wheel like this on the Xbox, you know, such luxury when you think of where we were with the plastic Xbox One wheel or the Xbox 360 wheel 10 years ago. Well, in fact, it was 9 years ago actually that wheel was released. So again, I was testing it there on Spa, testing it on Forza Motorsport 6 at Laguna Seca. What else are you going to drive there? A Viper. Fantastic. Just a shame that the Forza doesn't have the steering wheel removal option, or the option of the closer cockpit cam, something that it does miss out on there. And of course racing with Project Cars at Le Mans, and this was a fun race as well that will be coming up on the channel. And again, just, you know, I forget about the rim I'm using. It just felt so good, it just felt so right on this game. And what it showed me is that if you have perseverance with this rim, you can get the most out of it, and it is, you know, an amazing piece of kit. So what am I saying? Well, if you want something that's plug and play, I haven't found it plug and play. I found it a lot of work. At times I've pulled my hair out trying to understand why something isn't working. And sometimes, you know, when I used to plug in my G25, it would just work. I didn't even need to alter the settings. It's the same for the T300 or the T500. I found it works. With Fanatec I haven't. I found that everything needs to be set up, everything needs to be tuned, but ultimately there's the range and the settings there available to help you to do just that. With the Scorpio coming next year, you've got lots of longevity in terms of the wheel. Hopefully, it may even be updated to use PlayStation at some point, maybe, we don't know yet. Something for the future, but either way I've enjoyed using it over the past few days or past couple of weeks, and testing out all the different games, driving miles and miles and miles, trying to figure it all out and give you guys some feedback. I'll be writing an article on the website, and if you do have questions about the wheel and the parts involved, do let me know, and I'll be updating you with more information as I test it out in the different games and these different videos coming up in the next few, sort of coming days and weeks. But that's it from me for now. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Fanatec range, and there'll be more from me very soon.